Hi everybody, this is God's Girl G. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. And for those of you returning to this channel to watch this video and you're not already subscribed, why don't you consider doing so by clicking the subscribe icon below. That way you won't miss any of my videos. And if during the course of this video you hear something that you like, click the thumbs up, comment below, or better yet, share this video with someone who you feel could benefit from the information. With that stated, let's get into today's discussion. We've all been let down, manipulated, bullied, or criticized at some point. And when we're backstabbed, heartbroken, or betrayed, it's a false sense of empowerment to hate the people that hurt us. Now, you may think you're well justified in your thoughts and actions of a hatred toward another. And you may ask yourself the question, how is it possible that those who do us wrong and have no regrets deserve our love and compassion? Well, the reality is, we're not deserving of God's love and compassion, but we receive it regardless. As a result, we are called to extend such kindness to people whether we think they deserve it or not. Now, before I get too far into things, let me define and clarify some things. Hate derives from a strong dislike or ill will toward another person or things. Now, there are two types of hatred. One that is directed toward you and one that comes from within you. And today, I want to look at that second kind. You know, the kind that comes from within us. And let me say this, hatred actually does have a place in our lives. We should hate those things that are evil, cling to what is good. We are to hate and despise falsehood. So hate does have a place, but we really can't hate people, y'all. We gotta work on that. 1 John chapter 4 verses 20 through 21 says, whoever claims to love God, yet hates a brother or sister, is a liar. For whosoever does not love their brother and sister, whom they have seen, cannot love God, whom they have not seen. And he has given us this command. Anyone who loves God must also love their brother and sister. So I want to share with you now an interesting passage of scripture that I was reading up on in preparation for this video. It can be found in Luke 9. We read that Jesus and his disciples enters a Samaritan village where the people rejected Jesus. So James and John said, Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, just as Elijah did? Jesus, in all of his wisdom, turned and rebuked James and John. He tells them, you do not know what manner of spirit you are of, for the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. Now, you must understand there had been a centuries-long rivalry and prejudice between Jews and Samaritans. But talk about the Galilean mafia. That's what James and John were a part of. They were going to handle it. How did Jesus handle James and John? Jesus gives us a clue on how we can deal with hatred in our own heart. So I want to talk about now 3 things that you can do to deal with hatred. 1, your words must be rebuked. Yes, rejecting Christ is sinful and shameful, but hating people for it is reprehensible. The disciples' words were destructive to the people God loves. So Jesus rebuked them, and your words must be rebuked as well if this type of hateful speech comes from you. 2, you must check your attitude. James and John had scriptures in their heads. They knew Elijah had called down fire from heaven, but they had no love in their hearts. So even if they could call down fire from heaven, Their attitude was so wrong. To Jesus, attitude is more than aptitude. Your attitude is the rudder that controls everything in your life, what you say and what you do. So check your attitude when you're dealing with someone. Instead of viewing them as an inconvenience or a bad person, how about seeing them as an opportunity to help you grow? 3, your prejudices must be surrendered to God. James and John were blinded by their prejudices from seeing what God's purpose was for the Samaritans, which was to save them. God's purpose for people always trumps our prejudices towards people. John, one of Jesus's best friends, clarifies that you can't love God and hate God's people. And guess what? All people are God's people. If we love God, we have to love others. So now, maybe you're struggling with someone that, you hate to say it, but you hate. No pun intended. Let's talk about those specifics. 1, whatever that person did or continues to do toward you that has those feelings rising up, first, just consider putting things into context. We often judge people based off of what they've done and what they've said, how they look and who they are. But before you judge someone based upon looks or actions, etc., remember that God created every person and He loves them too. When we put others in the context of being God's loved creation, it becomes a little bit difficult to hate them. Next, you must forgive them. The Bible instructs us to be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ forgave us. We love that God has forgiven us. We can sing about that all day. But for some reason, we find it very difficult to forgive others. If our sin is forgivable, surely another sin is too. When we forgive those who hate us or who have caused damage to us, it brings us freedom. Forgiving releases our hearts from carrying around resentment and bitterness. It demonstrates to those who have hurt us that the ultimate forgiveness Jesus made possible when He died on the cross. Next, pray for them. It is impossible to hate somebody you're praying for. So pray for the person that has hurt you, broken your heart, or betrayed you. And you will find that as you ask God to move in His or her behalf, your hate will slowly fade. And finally, encourage them. The best way to kill hatred is by celebration. When we celebrate the blessings of others, our hate will eventually turn to love. No matter how hard we find it to forgive someone for hurting us, how great we believe the injustice that we have suffered is, or how impossible someone's sin against us is to forgive, Jesus shows us that there's always a choice to act in love and not in hate. The lure of hatred can be very tempting, and it can also be very subtle that we don't even realize that we're guilty of it until God shines a light on us and shows us ourselves. Although hate has the power to damage us and those around us, love is so much more powerful. It restores us, renews us, and removes the destructive effects that accompany our desire to carry out retribution and dismiss the concept of forgiveness. So when you have feelings of hate trying to rise up, remember to choose love, because love really does conquer all. Thanks so much for joining me today, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bye.